everybody. My name is Rita Freecott and I own Picked and Polished in Alexandria, New Hampshire. I'm also a Dixie Belle paint retailer, and today I'm going to be using Dixie Belle Crackle Finish with you. This is a great medium to get lots of texture and to add something different to your pieces. If you love that farmhouse chippy look, then this product is for you. It can be layered with different colors, and so today I'm going to show you the basics of how to use it step by step, and I'm also going to show you the difference between what happens when you go over crackle over stained wood or sort of a wood finish with crackle, and what happens when you go over a painted finish with crackle. Because you can get different results depending on what kind of surface you're going over with this product. And this is really simple once you know the great tips and tricks on how to use it. So the very first thing I'm going to do with my jar of crackle after I open it is I'm going to give it a good stir. And I usually use like a craft brush or a plastic spoon for this part. It's really important that you stir it up and you mix it up really, really well before you start applying it. You always want to make sure that you're applying it over a clean, dust-free surface. So I've already cleaned my surfaces and I've actually prepped parts of these pieces with some crackle already, so you can see the crackle magic happen before your eyes, and you won't have to wait for the crackle to dry. But I'm going to show you how to apply it first off. So to start with, it's a pretty sticky, goopy sort of substance, and a little bit goes a long way because it's so thick. You don't have to use a super thick coat of it. So I'm going to show you how I apply it on a flat painted surface, and then I'm going to show you how I apply it on a vertical surface over stained wood. So I'm just going to take a little bit here. I'm actually going to use my Dixie Belle synthetic brush, which I love. I'm going to use the round brush for this one. And I'm just going to dip a little bit on my brush. You can see there's not a huge amount, but it is kind of goopy looking when you first get it on there. So I'm going to go ahead and just apply it. A really sort of, it looks thick when you put it on, but if you just apply your thinnest coat and you try not to overbrush this, it will work its magic for you. So the key is to get your brush strokes. Don't overbrush it when you're applying it. I've already got some on the bottom that's dry, so you can see where it's shiny where it already dried. So I'm not going to fuss with it too much, because if I overbrush it, it'll kind of get rid of all that crackly, chippy goodness that I really want to come out on this piece. This piece is actually going to get painted over in red, Dixie Belle's Rustic Red, and I'm going to do a buffalo check pattern with a twist, with a crackle twist. I always like to take something that's really popular and give it a little bit of a rustic twist, and I think crackle is a great product for that. Just a little something different to give it some more texture. So there we go. There's my layer. It's not super thick, you can see, right? And I would let that dry. Usually it takes a few hours to really dry at least, but you want to make sure it's dried completely before you go over it with your layer of paint, which is what's going to start to crackle and give that finish that you're looking for. This side I've already created a crackle finish on, and you can see when it's dry what it looks like. It's kind of a shiny finish. It's okay if it's uneven, because that's the idea of the crackle. You really want an organic sort of chippy crackled feel. One of the tips I always give my customers when they're at a workshop working with crackle is that you want to make sure that you're not, when you're working on a vertical surface, let's say I was working on a table and I was doing the table legs or the side of the table, you want to make sure that because the consistency is sort of thick and drippy and goopy, you want to make sure that you don't go super thick on a vertical surface, because gravity will do its job and it'll pull it down and you'll end up with big drippy marks. So as you go on, just be careful that it's not super thick. Like if I went that thick and let it sit, let's see. If I just kind of caked it on like that and let it sit for a while like this, I would find that I've got some drippy marks, which isn't the end of the world. You can always go back and kind of push those in with your finger before they dry, and they'll disappear after you get the paint finish over it. But I'm going to thin that out a little bit because I want to try to avoid those big drippy marks. I'm just going to go ahead and finish up this side. And typically when I'm doing a crackle piece, I'll put my layer of crackle on either over my, if I want my wood surface to show, or my painted surface to show, that's what's going to be under the crackle medium. And then the paint that goes over it will start to crackle, and you'll see the first layer of whatever you went over through the crackled finish. So for this one, because it's a vertical surface, I'm definitely going to be sure that I'm not going on too thick. And I typically leave my crackle finish to dry overnight. So I kind of plan when I'm going to do crackle. You don't have to let it wait overnight, but I just like to be able to know I've already got my crackle finish done. I can sleep on it and let it dry, and then in the morning it's ready for me to do my top coat, which is when all the magic happens, when you go over it with a different color. So today I'm going to be using Dixie Belle's Rustic Red over the sandbar, which is what's on here. It's also got a little bit of wax on it. It was a project I had done that I'm going to sort of refinish, and because their waxes are water-based, they work really well with the other products. This was just a stained finish, so I'm going to check that to make sure I'm not getting any drips. So I usually look at the side of it and check to make sure nothing's really dripping down or making any drip marks. So far, so good. So this side, as I said, already has the crackle medium on it. And this side of this is going to be a photo board where I slide in a piece of glass so people can display photos. This side is already dry. This side is the side I just did that's wet. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens when I go over it with the red, the rustic red. It's going to look so pretty with the sandbar underneath. Okay, so now I've got Dixie Belle's Rustic Red, and I'm going to go over the sandbar in the area of the section that's completely dry. I don't ever want to go over the crackle until it's really, really dry, and this half of the board is. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I've got Dixie Belle's large flat brush, the synthetic brush, which I love. If you're working with smaller areas, you could use the round brush or the smaller round brush. Craft brushes sometimes work too really well with the crackle if you're working in, like, you know, small little spaces. I'm going to go ahead and just make sure you guys can see this. And so the key to getting a good crackle finish, again, is not overworking it. Just kind of sweeping, having enough paint on your brush and sweeping over the surface, and making sure that you're not continuing to go back and forth, because that'll kind of reactivate the crackle that's underneath and kind of make it smear and pull around. So instead of doing that, I'm going to make sure I have enough paint on my brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and go over this with my paint. And again, the paint is going to reactivate the dry crackle that's on here. I'm going to go ahead and get those crevices. This is actually going to be really pretty when I go over it with the buffalo check, because it's not just going to be your ordinary finish. The crackle is going to give it an interesting element. It's a little bit different than everything else you're seeing with the buffalo check pattern on it. If you don't want any of those spots showing, you can just lightly go over those. But again, I'm not really pushing the paint really hard back and forth. I'm just kind of covering up those spots. And for me, I kind of like the rustic look, so I don't mind some of those areas that are a little bit uneven. I'm going to go ahead and get in here first, getting my edges first, and then I'm going to go over the area where the crackle's at. And again, I'm not going to just keep pushing the paint around, because that'll just, as the crackle reactivates, it'll start to move the crackle underneath. And I kind of want it to stay put so I get that crackly finish instead of like a messy finish. So a lot of people are intimidated by this, but you can see it's a really simple process. And while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and work on this crate. I'm going to do a white over the wood, because I think that'll look it'll be a really nice contrast. And that's the other thing to think about when you're working with crackle. You want to pick a base coat, or use a base coat and a top coat that have some contrast to them, so that way you can really see where the paint is crackling. You can see the color will kind of pop in between those areas. So I'm going to go back to my round brush. Actually, I think I'm going to use my premium chip brush for this. It's ready to go. And I'm going to use my fluff, which is a beautiful gray-based white. It'll show up really well over this crate. Okay, so before I start with the fluff over the seam finish here with the crackle that's already completely dry, I'm going to check on my side that I put crackle on just a few minutes ago. It's definitely not dry yet, and you can see, I did this on purpose because I wanted you guys to see. Do you see those drippy areas? So if you go too thick on your crackle, that's what's going to happen. So I'm just going to go back and just kind of even those out really gently before I do anything with the other side. I'm going to use a smaller brush and just kind of even that out a little bit. Again, I'm not going to overwork it because I don't want to smooth out the crackle too much because then it won't give me that yummy crackled, chippy feeling. Just kind of scooping up some of the extra that was on there. See, it's not that scary because now I fixed the problem and it's completely smooth. You guys can see that here. Okay, so all better. No big drippy marks there. Alright, so the front, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the fluff. And you can see that this board is already starting to crackle while I'm moving along here. You can see it's starting to crack apart. Alright. We're going to let that continue to dry, and as it dries, it will crackle more. So here on this box, I already have my dried crackle on this side, dried overnight. I'm going to go ahead again and just start painting the surface. I'm going to be generous with my paint. Right now I'm using the Premium Chip Brush by Dixie Belle, which is a really versatile brush. Move my stuff around here. And I'm just going to kind of layer over my layers. Do you see how my brush just kind of goes over that initial layer? And if you want full coverage, don't be shy about using enough paint to get that look that you want. Again, I'm not going to overwork the paint. I'm not going to keep going back and forth because I just want to let it do its thing. But I do have areas that I want to add a little bit of paint to. I'm just going to gently kind of touch those areas up. Gently get my edge. And I really like the rustic farmhouse feel, so I'm okay with some spots being patchy. But if you want, you can always, before it dries, you can just touch those areas up really quickly. And I can already see on this piece that my crackle is already starting to work. I'm going to set this over here. And then I'm going to get up close and personal and show you how this looks as it starts to crackle. We'll give these just a few minutes to work their crackle magic, and I'll be right back. So here we go. Here's that side that was dry. I painted over it with the crackle, the fluff. I got my finger, poked my finger there by accident, but otherwise, it's coming out awesome. And again, I'm not going to fuss with it. I'm going to let it do its thing and let it dry completely so that it can work its magic. And here's the red one. Something a little bit different. It's got the sandbar underneath. And you can see it's already working its magic. And that's only been about 5 or 10 minutes. So it'll continue to crackle over time. And when they're completely done, I'll share with you the finished product. But I want to recap a few things about the crackle. So, crackle is a great medium to get that chippy, crackled, farmhousey sort of finish. It does have to be stirred when you use it really well before you start. And then you just want to make sure you have a clean surface, and whatever surface you crackle over is the surface that's going to show through after you paint over the crackle. So it's your base color, whatever that may be. Maybe it's a stain, maybe it's a painted color. And then that has to dry, and then it's a nice light coat of the crackle. And then that has to completely dry, and then your top color goes over. And so what you'll see is the bottom color, just bits of it sort of popping through those cracks. You could also do multicolor base coat so that maybe you want a crackled finish with a bunch of colors coming through. The other thing you can do with a crackle is you can distress a crackled finish to give it a really, really rough, sort of worn, farmhousey feel. And then the final thing I want to tell you about the crackle, you want to make sure that when you're going on a vertical surface that it's not super thick, but if your space gets a little bit drippy like my crate got here, you can just go back and kind of touch it up and pull off some of that crackle finish with a small brush. And then finally, when you're using crackle, anytime I'm doing a crackle finish, I always clear coat it with either the satin clear coat, the flat, the gloss, or the gator hide, because if a crackled finish gets wet at all, it reactivates the crackle, and so that it'll move around again on you. And you really want your hard work to be preserved when you're doing a crackle finish. So I always recommend doing 2 light coats of one of the Dixie Belle clear coats, either the gator hide, the satin, the flat, or the gloss, and those work beautifully. You can also use wax over the top coat if you want to give something a country primitive look. So there's just lots of ways you can use this finish and make things look really, really unique. So here again, I'm going to share with you one more time what they're looking like, because as I'm speaking, things are crackling, right? So here we go. More crackle happening there. Can you guys see that? It's yummy farmhouse goodness, people. I love that. Okay, and then here's the white or the fluff that I did over the stain. Right? That's going to look so nice. And I could do maybe some lettering or something over this to even add another layer of depth and dimension to my pieces. So if you haven't had a chance to try Dixie Belle's Crackle yet, don't be afraid. Give it a try. It's great stuff, and it is easy peasy to use once you learn those few little quick tips and tricks. And it can really make your projects stand out from others.
Here, this part was wet and this part was dry, and I went over it with a rustic red, and that's just about dry. You can see there are some spots that are a little bit uneven, but the white is pretty much done, and look how great that looks. Except for the little spots that I got with my finger there. The rest of it looks fantastic. So imagine the possibilities with this stuff.
And again, my name is Rita Freecott. I'm from Picked and Polished, and I'm a Dixie Belle retailer, and I hope this video was really helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button and the bell below to see more great videos from Dixie Belle in the future, so you can learn about their fantastic line of products and how to use them for your upcoming projects.